Alright, so I really three things to do when I do. Actually, three things to do when we do composite function. So the first thing you do actually substitute. I don't know if that's spelled right, but yeah, substitute. So substitute are the first thing you do. And when you substitute the function that is closer to the x into the other function. So just as though earlier we have f of g of x, we realize that here the g is closer to the x. You substitute this function into this other. Then the second thing you have to substitute is distribute. Now in most cases you distribute. There's rarely a case where you don't distribute, but the second thing is distribute. Then no, the third thing is just simplify. Alright, so again, we're gonna do composite functions. There are three things we're gonna do. Substitute. And this is where if you have f of g of x, you substitute as is closer to the x, like you have g of x which is closer to the x, that means you need to put, or as persons would say, you put this function now into the function here. So, but really and truly is substitute this into the function that is ahead of it. So the first thing is substitute, the second thing is distribute, and the third thing is simplify. Now when we say simplify, you mean a group like terms together and you add where you can add, or subtract where you can subtract. So these are the three main things that you do in time you solve composite functions. Alright. So I'm going to make this stay for now, and I'm going to come back to this later. So I'm going to do actually the next question now, which is f of x is equal to, let's say 10x minus 3. Then now g of x is equal to x squared. Then carry on other one, which is, since I'm Mr. Donald, so a teacher, I can also say d of x I'm not conceited is equal to let's say may I hear an answer, so what do you think? Alright, so here somebody say 6x, and here somebody say plus 6. Alright, 6x plus 6. So you say I have three functions, f of x, g of x, and d of x. These are the top one, this is Donald's function. These are three individual functions. So this is one function by itself, this is one by itself, and this is another one by itself. It's 1, let me use the other marker. It's 1, 2, 3. Then now, we are going to start with some actual questions. So number one would be f of g of x. Number two will be g of f of x. Number three will be d of g of x. Right, so three questions. We have number one, f of g of x. Number two, g of f of x. Number three, d of g of x. Okay? So in other words, this into that, then that into this, then this into that. Now I'm going to rub off this kind of space a little bit. Alright, yeah, so them are the three functions. These are the three composite functions that we get. 1, 2, 3. Now we can pause the video and write them off, because I'm going to rub them off. So I'm going to write the first one. So if you can remember, the instructions are substitute, distribute, and simplify. This is how we are going to do in most cases, 88% of the time. Now, so the first one says f of g of x. So this simply means, if we can remember, we need to put the function g of x into f. So this means we put the function g of x into f. And so, let's go about it. So we know that the function g of x is x squared, and we know that the function f of x is 10x minus 3. So the function for f, so the function for g. So we don't need to put this, which is this function, into this. Now if we can remember, all we have to do is substitute. So the first thing we need to do, I write the function f because I it the last, right? Or we can think about it. If we have put g of x into f, we need to write f first, right? And then left this space to put g. So I'm write f. Now the function f was 10. And anywhere the x then I'm going to put a bracket. Let's put one bracket. then I finish out the function. So it was 10x, but I'm not going to put x, I'm going to put the bracket. And the bracket, the reason I put a bracket is because I'm going to put the other function inside the bracket. So I'm write 10 bracket minus 3. Put the minus 3 also. Then now, it is f of g of x, so in the bracket I need to put g of x. So g of x was x squared. Then if we put x squared, I'm going to write 10. Then if we put x squared in here, so. And then after that, it just simplify. Now 10 bracket x squared, if you can remember, this is a form of distribution, or in other words, when you have one term right beside the bracket, it means you have to multiply them. So 10 bracket x squared means 10 times x squared, and 10 times x squared is 10x squared. Then put back the minus 3. Now for some people I wonder why I'm not multiplying the 10 by the minus 3 as well. It's because the 3 wasn't inside the bracket. I wanted the x squared inside the bracket. So just put the 10 times the x squared. 10 times x squared is 10x squared. Then I put back the minus 3. Then now, after this, we did the substitute already. Did the distribute and we multiply this. Then now we simplify. Now there's nothing to simplify here, so we left it like this. Because you know, if one other x squared term needed it, you'd add the x squared to the 10x squared. If one other number needed it, you'd add it to the negative 3 or something like that. So f of g of x is equal to 10x squared minus 3. Then now the other one I think was, I can't remember about this, make space. Then the other one was number 2, g of f of x. So we have g of f of x, right? Now, g of f of x, so this means that we put f of x inside the function g, right? So in other words, you need to write the function first, which is g. Now the function g is actually x squared. Now remember me tell you, say, when you substitute, basically anywhere the x, when I substitute anywhere the x is, you go put a bracket. So right, so I have x squared. So you see where the x is, I go just put a bracket and put the square outside. So in writing back the function g, we're not going to write back x, so we'll just put a bracket. And then now, because square did there, we did have x raised to the power 2. Remember, I know, and not just this, I substitute for the x alone. So I put a bracket for the x and I put back the square, which is to the power 2. Then now I need to put f of x inside the bracket. F of x was 10x minus 13, so I will get 10x minus, about 13, 10x minus 3 inside of the bracket. So this is what we have for g of f of x. Now this is not finished, you can simplify it. So just to delineate a bit, when you have 2 squared, it is equal to 2 times 2. If we have x squared, it is equal to x times x, right? So that means when we have 10x minus 3 squared, we can write it as 10x minus 3 bracket 10x minus 3. So when we expand this, we get this. Then if we can remember from distribution, so we substitute already, we're at distribution now. So to distribute this kind of long, but we have to go work with it. It's simply where you multiply the first term by the first term, or you can say, in other words, when you're distributing, you see these two terms I need to multiply by everything over here. So, and if you guys can remember, we did do this by drawing some arrows previously. So we said this multiply by the 10x, so negative 3 times the 10x. Then this also if we multiply by the negative 3. Then we finish with the first term. This 10x now should multiply by the 10x here, and this 10x also should be multiplied by the negative 3 here. So in retrospect, all we do, you see all the terms in the first bracket, you multiply by each term in the last bracket. So we have 2 terms here, term 1, term 2. And if we multiply this by the 2 things here, and this again by the 2 things here. So that's all we're really doing. Then now we're going to work it out. So 10x times 10x is, just put it a little bit down. 10x times 10x is 100x squared. Now, if you guys don't remember the whole multiplication of algebraic terms, when I multiply 2 algebraic terms together, I multiply the coefficients first, then the variables. So we have 10x times 10x is 10 times the 10, I will give 100, and the x times the x is going to be x squared. So just a reminder. Then now 10x times negative 3 is negative 30x. So I'm finished with the first term now. Then now we move on to the second term. Negative 3 times positive 10x is equal to negative times a positive is negative. So that's negative 30x. Again, you multiply the two coefficients. This not really have a variable, so you just put back the last variable. So with sign we know so I got negative, so 3 times 10 is 30. And then I just put back the x. So negative 3 times 10x is negative 30x. Then now we need to multiply the negative 3 times negative 3. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. Then we get left with the big sum now. So we do a substitution already. Substitute. Then we do the distribution, which is all of that. Then now we need to simplify. When I simplify, you see any terms that are similar, we can add together. So realize you have a 30x here and another x here. Now, somehow now I think we can probably add this to this because I told x, but no. It's 100x squared and this is 30x. In other words, this x is raised to the power 2 while this x is raised to the power 1. So we can't add these two together. However, we have 30x here and 30x here. So we can add these. So I simplify now, see what we can add. So we put back the 100x squared first, then now negative 30 minus 30x. This part are actually indices, but if you remember, if we have, alright, so sorry for that, I did pause the video to go ahead and come back. So we have negative 30x minus 30x. Now someone will probably do this already, but I'm just revise it for those who need the revision. Here are actually integers, right? No, for now, I'm going to say negative 30 times, no, add we add. So you can think about it, you owe 30x and you go owe 1x 30x. Right? Think about it in that way. So you owe 30x, you know, like 1 to 30x, you owe 30x and you go back and owe 30 more x. So in time you add these, you go owe 60x. Right? Or in other words, negative 30x minus 30x is 60x. Right? Signs are the same. We add and put back the signs. Or we can say negative away owe. So you owe this amount and you owe that the amount. So you go owe 60x. Right? Let me just put back the plus 9. Sorry for the plus 9. And well, that's it. So this is it. Not more than you can simplify. So we finish. So therefore, g of f of x is equal to 100x squared minus 60x plus 9. I'm right that. Look a bit below. G of f of x is equal to 100x squared minus 60x plus 9. So that's it for g of f of x.